Hello good people, and welcome back to another math video, this time on rounding and estimating, specifically with decimals and fractions. Alright, let's get started. We'll start with decimals because those are easier. You've probably heard some rounding rules like 5 or above, give it a shove, 4 and below, leave it alone, or 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 or less, let it rest. So what these are really saying is, if the place that we are rounding to has the number 5 or greater, then we are going to be rounding up. And if it is 4 or smaller, we are going to be rounding down. So let's do an example. Alright, so if I had 6.2 and I was rounding to the nearest whole number, well, my 6 would be the whole number, and I'm looking at the place to the right, and I have a 2. So it's not 5 or above, so my whole number is going to stay the same. I'm kind of rounding down to the 6. What do you mean rounding down? Well, if I think about whole numbers, I'd have 6, and I could say 6.0. And the next whole number would be 7, or 7.0. And in between, I have all of these numbers. I could say I have 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9. So when we're deciding to round up or down, we're really saying that if I'm here, am I closer to 6 or am I closer to 7? And of course, visually we can see we are closer to 6. And if we think of our rule, it's not 5 or above, so we are not going up. Alright, another example. I'll keep my 6.2, but I'm going to add a digit past it, and I'm going to pretend that these directions tell me to round to the nearest tenth. Well, which number in here is in the tenths place? It's the 2. This means that my answer needs to go out to the tenths place, but not any farther. So if I round to the nearest tenths place, I have to look next door. I look at the 7, that's right here. Is it 5 or greater? Yes, it's a 7. That tells me that I'm going to go up. Now, what's going to go up? This digit. I'm going to go up to a 3. And I didn't do anything with my 6. That's going to stay. And there's not going to be anything in the hundredths place because I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So I need to stop at the tenths place. Sometimes we would have one that will change even our whole number out front. I'll do my 6 again, but this time it's going to be 6.9, and if the direction said round to the nearest tenth, well, again, I'd look to my neighbor. It's a 7, it tells me to go up. 9, well, 9's going to go up. What's it going to go up to? It's going to go up to 10. Well, I can't write a 10 in one spot, so it's kind of like when you've added and carried the 1. I'm going to write down that 0, carry my 1 here, and I would have 7. So even though we started with a 6 and we were rounding to the nearest tenth, this would go up to 7 and 0 tenths, or 7.0. Now we'll look at a couple examples that involve fractions and mixed numbers. We also have a rule here that if the fraction is a 1/2 or any bigger than 1/2, it's going to round up. And if our fraction is smaller than, I'm just going to write that as a fraction, I should have done that, written smaller than 1/2, then the whole number is going to stay the same. The challenge here is figuring out whether or not the fraction is bigger than 1/2 or not. So let's look at a couple examples. So maybe I have 6 and 1/4 and plus 3 and 3/5, and my directions are to give an estimate. Okay, well, if I'm going to give an estimate, then I'm going to round it so I have easier numbers to work with. So this 1/4, I have to decide, is that bigger than a half or smaller? I always think in terms of pizza, probably because I like to eat. So if I make a pizza and I look at, well, here I've shaded 1/4 of the pizza. Is this more than half? No, it's not. So this is going to round down, meaning that I'm going to go back to my original whole number, the 6. Now the next one, 3 3/5. This is a little bit tougher to draw with a pizza, although it can be done. Probably won't be perfect. Okay, here's a pizza cut into fifths. If you have 3 of the slices, you have more than half the pizza. Another way to think about this is maybe with a bar model. If you have 3 chunks of your bar, you've moved beyond what would have been halfway. So this is going to round up, which means my whole number is going to change. I'm going to go to the next whole number. So that would be my final answer. If I had to give you an estimate for what's 6 1/4 plus 3 3/5, I would say it's about 10. That would be my estimate. Now let's do another one of those. Okay, 9 3/9 times 4 3/4. And if we had to do an estimate for this, I'd take a look here at my 3/9. Am I less than half or more than half? Well, let's see. If I was splitting 9 things up, half would be around 4 or a little more than 4. So 3/9, that's less than half. So I am not going to round up. So I'll go down to that nearest whole number, a 9. Now, 3/4. Well, let's see. If I have my pizza again, 3/4, definitely more than half. I'm going up. 9 times 5, 45. Sometimes the fractions are challenging. 2/7, that one strikes me as a little bit challenging. Fifths are also a little bit challenging. They don't lend themselves to really easy pizzas, but you can always do a bar. So here's 7ths. Again, if I only have 2 out of the 7, I can see that that's definitely less than half. Or if I have 1 out of 5ths, I can see that that's less than half. 8ths are great for pizzas. You can always draw yourself a pizza for your 8ths. And we can see, well, if I have 5 of these, definitely more than half. Okay, so that one would round up. Okay, and I'll just do a couple of your homework problems here to help you out. Alright, 8 5/6. So 5/6. This is definitely more than half. If I'm talking sixths, 3 would be half. 5/6 is more, so this is going to round up to 9. Plus 6 1/6. Well, the 1/6 is less than half, so I will stay with just my whole number 6. 9 6, 15. Alright, how about we'll do number 7. 6 14/100 times 11 71/100. Okay, well, when I look to my neighbor, this is a 1, so that does not tell me to round up, so this will stay as a 6. When I look to my neighbor, this is a 7. That does tell me to round up, so this would round up to 12. 6 times 12, 72. Alright, number 12 reads, Zoe's average running speed is about 6 4/5 miles per hour. Suppose Zoe runs for 1 3/4 of an hour. How far will she run? Alright, well, here are my numbers. What operation am I doing here? 6 miles an hour for a little more than 1 hour. Let's see. I would need to multiply these together. So 4/5. This is definitely more than half, so I'm rounding up to 7. 1 3/4. Well, 3/4 is more than half, so I'll round up to 2. So my estimate would be 14, and this is a real world problem, so I would need to add some units. That she will add 14 miles. Okay, hope that helps. Watch the video a few times, practice your rounding, and we will see you tomorrow.